Well, Israel is on high alert today after a wave of attacks on its diplomats overseas. The country now accusing Iran and vowing to settle the score. In just the past 48 hours, an Israeli diplomatic car was bombed in New Delhi. A motorcycle assailant stuck a magnet bomb on that car, wounding 4 people, 1 critically. A similar attack was foiled in the country of Georgia. Authorities say it mirrored the recent killings of Iranian nuclear scientists, which Tehran has blamed on Israel. The most recent attack happening in Bangkok. We're told an Iranian man carrying explosives blew off his own legs and wounding several people in 2 blasts. A 3rd explosion occurred in a nearby house. Dore is the former Israeli ambassador to the UN and president of the Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs. Ambassador, thank you very much for being here. All right, so what we're seeing here in the United States is an escalation. Israel reportedly saying that it stands prepared to hit Iran's nuclear facilities within the next few months. Our own defense secretary speaking to that with one reporter, according to the Washington Post. Then we see assassinations of Iranian nuclear scientists, and now we see Iran appearing to strike back. Where is this going?
Well, I think what you got to do is take a couple of steps back and look at this at 100,000 feet. What I mean is, remember, the United States itself was targeted by Iran just a few months ago when the Iranians planned to do a mass casualty attack in the United States Capitol in Washington, D.C., attempting to kill the Saudi ambassador to the United States. It is a trademark of Iranian terrorism to assault and to attack diplomatic personnel and embassies abroad. They attacked the U.S. Embassy in Beirut in the 1980s. They planned an attack on the U.S. and French embassies in Kuwait. And now we're seeing attacks against Israeli embassies. But the real story here is that Iran is feeling cornered. The United States and Europe are ratcheting up sanctions. The Iranians tried to escalate in the Strait of Hormuz. It didn't work. Now they're going after embassies.
And yet, even those who don't like this regime, Ambassador, might see why it's feeling cornered in the wake of, what it says were assassinations of its nuclear scientists, and it believes that Israel and possibly the United States have been behind those.
Well, let's not make us into the problem, because, essentially here what you have is Iran violating a half dozen UN Security Council resolutions by continuing to produce enriched uranium, by going from 3% to 20% enrichment, by preparing, according to the International Atomic Energy Agency, warheads which will carry nuclear weapons. So, we have it in black and white. We have this authenticated by UN agencies that this is where Iran is going. And I think the West has a right to tell Iran, enough, stop the nuclear development, come to the negotiating table, but do not threaten the Middle East with war.
The Iranian foreign ministry spokesman has already come out in the wake of these attacks that we talked about in the introduction, in India, in Georgia, in Thailand, and tried to blame Israel for these, even though it was Israeli diplomats who were targeted, tried to blame Israel for being behind these attacks, suggesting that you did it, Israelis did it, in an effort to tarnish Iran's friendly ties with these host countries. Your response to that, sir?
Well, maybe he should get a job working in Hollywood as a scriptwriter, because it's totally ludicrous. One thing about the attack in Bangkok that was planned in Thailand is that the man who blew off his legs was caught with an Iranian passport. The Thai authorities know that these were 6 Iranians who came into Thai territory to attack an Israeli embassy. But remember, their purpose here is to try and deter not just Israel, it's to deter the entire Western alliance from putting pressure on them. They have to come into line with UN Security Council resolutions, with the reports of the International Atomic Energy Agency, and get serious about halting their march to nuclear weapons. What they're trying to do is deflect us into other issues by using terrorism. They've done it before in the 1980s against U.S. embassies. They're now doing it against Israeli embassies. But let's remember what has to be done and what the big story is.
Is this the future now? Is this the future now, sir, if Iran continues, unchecked, because it doesn't seem that moved by the sanctions so far? Domestic terrorism, perhaps within Israel, perhaps within the United States, because it doesn't like the noose that's been placed around its neck, and it doesn't seem to care what the international community thinks.
Well, you have to also look at this in another way. The attempted attack in Washington at the Saudi ambassador, a mass casualty attack, which I believe was supposed to be against the Four Seasons Hotel restaurant, was planned in Mexico with Mexican drug cartels. So they're getting pretty close to you, and they're close to us. Now, they're brazen with these attempted attacks now, even while they don't have nuclear weapons. Imagine should Iran complete its nuclear weapons program, break through with weapons-grade enrichment in the next couple of months, and then producing warheads a little bit after that.
Yeah.
Then we're in a whole different world. Then the Iranian terrorist threat is going to be far greater to all of us.
It is a chilling thought. Ambassador Dore Gold, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it, sir.
My pleasure.
Well, we have a follow